not live yet. Damn it. Okay, let's see. Like I said, it does take a second. I apologize. Okay, there it is. Alrighty. So, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. This is the Tech Talk with the Westside Button Mashers. I am your host, Thumper. We got my co-host, X the T. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Holla, holla, suck my dick for $1. How you bastards doing?
We have Sid. Unfortunately, had to step away real quick, and we also have the Last Bad Day. He will be coming in a little bit later, and our special guest of the day, the leader of TGC. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Kevin, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I can't wait to get enthralled in some enticing conversation.
Yes, sir. Oh my gosh, I'm honestly really stoked to have you. As somebody that I've seen on your streams, I mean, I would say your production's pretty much second to none.
Thank you.
Good handful of people. I would look at it like I look at yours and Vape Coach's production. I think it's so good, honestly. From the music that you guys play. And by the way, I have to ask, do you like make your own beats, or like do you find mixes, or like how does that work? Because I know the music that you were playing when I was playing against Kairos, like that shit slapped. I'm just telling you right now.
So it's a combination of a couple of things. There's only one song that I have that I completely own the rights to, where I established this kind of like black and gold branding, I want to say about a year into my streaming career, where I really started selling this whole like everything gold, I want everything gold kind of persona. Mm-hmm. And so I had commissioned this black and gold theme song that's on Spotify that you can use on your stream if you want. And it's not really like a shameless plug for me. I don't get any money from it. I just get to use it without getting sued. Yeah, the producer who made it, Guy Speeds, who's this wonderful human being, gets all the money from it. So I like promoting it just so that he can get the attention he deserves, because he makes great music and he did such a good job. Yeah, I essentially commissioned that just because I wanted to have access to a branded theme song that I could use without concern for DMCA. So that worked out perfectly for that. And then with that same shared concern, almost everything else I use is 100% royalty free, because I just hate the idea of either having like a really good stream or a really good video that I come up with one day in the future just get completely striked out just because I wanted to use some like gym class hero song that I wasn't supposed to use. So it's a combination of a bunch of different royalty free playlists. There's the Stream Beats one that's been going around from Harris Heller that I use a lot of. They did a 100 Thieves collaboration to help them with like their Call of Duty branding, and all of that music's really hype and energetic. There's the Riot playlist that they dropped. I forget what it's called. I can look it up later, but they dropped that one like 3 to 4 months ago. And if you get selective with the tracks that are on the playlist, you can kind of like nitpick out some really, really cool ones. There is a what's called the Fixed T music license, which you sign an agreement form that's literally free. And all you have to do is basically put a panel on your Twitch channel. I have it on mine. You guys can go there later and click on it, and it'll take you straight to where the agreement form is. Most of the really, really cool music, when people ask me about it, is usually either from that license agreement or from Geist, because they're the ones that are different enough or have that kind of like overarching synthwave element that people really like.
Right.
And all of them, you don't have to worry about copyright or DMCA and getting sued, and it just makes my life so much easier because I can stream without the anxiety of what I'm playing, you know?
Right. And I noticed because like I think there was like pretty much, I think he played them like right in a row. It was like a remix of I want to say a Tekken. It doesn't, like, I can't, it's not tipping my tongue, but I know it was a Tekken one, and then there was a Virtua Fighter one that was that I really liked, and it reminded me a lot of Virtua Fighter 4.
Yes.
And so is that all from there?
Well, so lately, that's been the more recent thing. I've been trying to kind of like ascertain which video game soundtracks you can use without having to have too much concern. And I'm still in the process of like playing with exactly how safe that is. Generally, you're going to be fine, especially at our level, you know? But a lot of that music ends up being essentially DMCA safe because it's the background music to the games that you would be playing anyway, so you're gonna hear them. And if they gave those songs copyright issues, so many streams would just get automatically taken down before they even go live because you played Tekken 7 for 2 seconds and get shut down, you know? So,
Right.
and it's been helpful for me. Usually when you see me playing fighting game music on stream, you know, that's kind of like a behind the scenes hint that I'm actively trying to like compete or get better again because I can't have the music be too distracting to me while I'm streaming. And I get a good nostalgia hit from a lot of the fighting game music that I use, but it also kind of keeps the subconscious feeling the same to me, where I have a lot of streams where I'll have music like that and then I'll have some song come on that's so somber and it's like some ballad about some dude who got heartbroken, and then I get distracted by it and now I'm getting hit with like wake up fatal blows and I don't want to. So yeah, essentially when it comes time where I need to focus and I still want to try to stream, but I want to limit the amount of distractions I can have, I just go right back to the classics with the fighting games.
Right. Okay. Nice. Nice. And have you been like playing fighting games for a long time?
I have been playing fighting games. Well,
Have you been
I've
part of the
playing
FGC?
them-
I guess in a sense, for a while.
Yeah, I've been playing them since I was 4, but I didn't really start taking them serious until I think the first Injustice was the one where I was just like, man, I really want to. There's kind of 2 different eras of when I got interested in getting better at fighting games. The first Injustice is the one that got me interested in the community, where I started paying attention and learning about Sonic Fox and all of these people.
Right.
The first time in my life that I ever had the goal of getting better in a fighting game was honestly to beat my mom, because she used to take me to, when I was younger, I lived in the Bronx. So I live in New York. I lived in the Bronx until I was about
nice,
7.
okay.
And then we moved to Queens when I was 7. And we had just enough money to move to Queens, but we had just enough money to move to Queens. So our laundromat visits nowadays is like one of my luxuries. It's like I don't hang in a laundromat anymore. If I have to use it, I do drop off, and I pay extra money, and that's just one of the few pleasures I allow myself. And back in those days, you know, we had to scrounge up our quarters and go. And to keep me focused, well, at least to keep me distracted from getting bored, they had a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 arcade machine. By some grace of God, they had one of those in this little laundromat we used to go to.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, my mom would boot us up on that machine, and I'm allowed to curse on here?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This fucking bitch would beat my ass in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I'm like 9 years old, and she would just pick like the most ridiculous, like Juggernaut, Blackheart, you know, all of these characters that there's no way some 9-year-old is going to figure out how to beat, and she would just beat my ass in this game every single time we went. And then when I got older, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was on the PS3, I still have mine with it on there. Even my first arcade stick is an MVC2 arcade stick. I bought that arcade stick. I booted up that game. I learned that game, and the first person I challenged was my mom, and I relentlessly whooped that woman's ass for like a week in that game. I got all of my payback. And I will
That's
never
awesome.
let her touch me at another fighting game again. Outside of that, you know, I lived life for a bit, and then, yeah, again, the first Injustice is what brought me back in seriously.
And were you going to locals as well, or were you just competing online?
I was mostly an online demon for a bit. I started venturing out to locals, like how old was I at the time? I want to say I was like 16, 17. And I don't even know if they're still open. There was this one that was called 8-Bit Dojo somewhere in the middle of Manhattan, where that was the main one I would travel to.
That sounds
It was the same place I bought the arcade stick. I think they were in St. Mark's Place, and I don't know. One day I went like years later when I was in the area to try to go like visit the shop again, and they weren't there. So they either went out of business or moved, and I don't know where they went. Yeah, but that was my spot for a while.
Interesting. So I mean, there's a big FGC community. Like, there's a big FGC, like a whole community out there. That, I mean, pretty much where it started in a sense. So I would assume.
Was Chinatown fair? Was that in New York, or what was that?
Well, we have a Chinatown, so it's kind of like, it's weird because a couple different states have their own Chinatowns. It's kind of like anywhere you go, there's some form of Chinatown somewhere around there. But New York, yeah, they had one, but it's not like they had a big FGC scene over there. At least I didn't know of one if they did. So unless I was going out for food, I usually wasn't going.
Right. And I'm sorry, guys. We're welcoming Scuddy. We call him Schluddy. Into the podcast. I didn't know you were gonna be in here because you didn't respond earlier, but I'm glad you're here.
Oh yeah, I was at work.
It's all good. So when you were talking about earlier that you were kind of into gold, is that where the Golden Coalition came through, or?
Well, at least for the titling of it, because it was already my established branding at the time, and a lot of my kind of stream persona. I mean, I try to make sure that it derives from somewhere genuine. That's always one of my big things with streaming, is I feel like if you have this disingenuine aspect from you, I don't think Twitch viewers or just gaming viewers are stupid. I think, if I'm kind of trying to sell some part of my persona that's not real, you guys will pick up on it because you can tell it's an act. So I definitely do like embellish the gold thing because I think it's funny to make it annoying. But it did, derive from this interest of
Right.
just seeing gold accessories in video games. It was like a small thing with me. Like I remember I would play Mass Effect Andromeda and they'd go, if you pre-order it, you get a gold like car that you can drive around Mars, And I'm like, oh, I want the gold car. I got to buy the game early,
Right.
And with everything. And so then it becomes, then there's a season of Combat League where we have this season of greed. And what's the season of greed? Everybody has gold skins,
That's the
And it's
Quinceañera skins right there. The
Yeah, and it's
Quinceañera.
almost,
Quinceañera
if
skins,
you
yeah.
think of, I started realizing like, so it was a thing that I liked. And then the more that I delved into it, the more I started noticing that like 85% of the games that I play all have some gold something in it. So I'm like, this is clearly some caveman part of like a video gamer's brain. We just like shiny gold because they keep selling gold shit in all the games,
Like loot
So-
boxes. Every time you open a loot box, it's gold. Or...
Yeah, you want the gold item. You finish the battle pass, you get a golden assault rifle that you get to shoot. You get a golden costume for your favorite hero, So yeah, I like to make it annoying where I have a water bottle that I drink out of on stream. That's gold, I had a golden PlayStation controller at the time. My
Oh
old
my
headset was gold.
gosh.
So it's annoying for me now because the office space that I have for streaming, all of the walls are pink, and it couldn't be the more opposite. Like I like pink, but I hate it for walls. It's kind of just what the setup is in here. We have a really good deal, and I'm not trying to fuck with the landlord and paint the walls. If it was up to me, the walls would be black. I would basically be a gold robot on stream,
Right.
But yeah, I established that branding so hard that by the time it came to the thought of putting a group together, I was like, if I don't throw gold in the name somewhere, it's not going to go along with the theme of me being annoying and making everything gold something, So I had to do it, and just Coalition just ran off the tongue when I was trying to come up with names in my head. And it is what it
honestly,
is now.
it does sound pretty good. It does roll off the tongue
honestly,
really well.
Like I honestly think that's like the coolest name out of all the clans. I'll be honest.
Oh, thank you. I'll take it.
Coalition. That is a clean ass word right there.
Yeah, and honestly, like I love the logo. It's simple yet just it's nice. You know what I mean? Like it's just keep things simple, honestly.
Yeah, it applies to my design style's always been a little more like minimalist. And I know I was talking with Cease when we were kind of like brainstorming the TGC baby and what it was going to be. And he was showing me like I think he was a big fan of like Superior and Combat's logo at the time. And a lot of the teams have, and they still do these big esportsy logos. And it was one of two things. For me, it's just like I hate as a designer. Well, it's not necessarily that it's too much. What ends up happening is that the more complicated the logo is, as a graphic designer, I immediately see more difficult in utility. It's harder to throw on a t-shirt. It's harder to make a thumbnail out of,
Yeah.
The smaller it gets, the harder it is. Like our crown, you can kind of resize it. If it's really small, it's still the crown, If our thing is this giant, like blue eyes, white dragon logo, and then I have to shrink it down to like 100 by 100 icon, you can't see the dragon anymore and it defeats,
Yes.
So, I've always been, with my art background, under the understanding that when you're kind of going, I don't know, quote unquote corporate, for lack of a better term, the simpler the better. And as long as you see the crown and that's us, the logo's doing its job,
Right. No, yeah, I love it. Did any of you guys have any questions for him before I ask my next question?
I was gonna ask him like the origins of the Golden Coalition, but he pretty much answered it.
Oh, the origin?
Yeah. No, like how the name came about.
Oh, okay.
That was gonna be.
But yeah, he pretty much. Shluty, did you have a question for him?
Not off the top of my head. I'll be thinking right now.
Okay. I felt like I was doing a lot of the talking, so I was like, I'll let these guys go. Now, I think everybody does wanna know this answer though. Do you teach your guys, or do you guys just practice wake up grabs? Because I feel like that's the thing with you.
Yeah, that's.
I feel
So
like
there's-
that's like a trademark with you guys.
So,
Yeah, don't lie.
no. I have to listen. I got to give the truth on it, but there is actually like kind of a narrative arc as to how something like that kind of spreads out between the guys. So one of the things so back in the past, like I definitely hit a point where I hit my competitive peak, and then I got more focused on content, and I kind of like tailored off. But from competing in the games for a couple of years, from doing commentary, I make guides. I do all of, this whole umbrella of fighting game content and participation that I have. I have a general sense of overall knowledge for the game, and essentially my concept of how fighting games function generally. And essentially each one of them kind of has like their different utility. I always explain it to people as you essentially take fighting games as a whole and you give it the parameter of different types of fundamental skills that you have to build that carry from game to game, which is why they're regarded as fundamental in the first place. You have your footsies, you have your neutral, you have your mix, your pressure, your there's this whole category of different skills you can get good at. And then essentially each different game kind of has the one skill that is the main one that you need to be good at this game, What will happen with Mortal Kombat is that the combinations of skills that kind of take priority as to what's going to make you better specifically in NRS games doesn't align with every other game, and that can generally frustrate people because now I'll see a lot of like the old school veteran guys do this. Like I'll see Armani Vis complain about this all the time. I'll see kind of just generally people in that camp get upset about this. Oh, people don't play MK the way that they should play fighting games. They have 70 different wake-up options. They do whatever they want, and you can't stop them. And this game doesn't reward fundamental skill, right?
Yeah, you can't meaty and this and that, and yeah. The main skill that you need to really have down on, well, at least one of the ones that's in, like, I'm going to sound like Jordan Peterson now, that's in the dominance hierarchy of fundamentals you want to have on lock if you're going to get good at this game, is definitely Oki Zemi. If you don't have strong Oki and MK, you're going to struggle. Mostly because the Oki and MK is so complicated. It doesn't always have to be, and there's ways to mitigate it and make it simpler, but it's one of the stronger skills that you need to have. That frustration with expecting a player to play a certain way is not particular to MK. It comes out more because people don't like the wake-up mechanics in the game. But there are ways to deal with it. Frustrating your opponent by doing stupid shit exists in every single fighting game, and it has existed since the beginning of time. And I've explained this to anybody who's ever asked me for advice, anybody who's ever asked me to coach them, anybody who's ever just asked me about fighting games in general. It is a characteristic that I have personally used ever since the first Injustice and any fighting game that I've ever played. You need to be able to walk the silver line of being able to do smart, technical, calculated stuff and also throw in really stupid shit. If you stay if you hold yourself down into one of those two camps, eventually you become predictable. And being able to jump from one to the other keeps you unpredictable and it makes you better. Cease, obviously one of like the OGs on the team, was one of the main guys that for like a year, I was trying to get it in his head, you have to play dumber. You're losing because you're playing too smart. You're trying to out tactic everybody, out neutral everybody. Sometimes you just got to throw somebody 7 times because they don't think you're going to throw them 7 times. I did it personally. The last set I did it in was like 2 to 3 days ago. I had to play Poseidon on Brutality Bowl, and I had a round where I threw Poseidon like 4 times just to show him I'm not a bitch and I will throw you 4 times. He practically got flawless the round after that because once I got it in his head that I will throw like that, he was scared of it for the rest of the game. And then it was Meaty City from there. You need to do stupid stuff like that. Wake up throw is one of the dumbest things you can do, but it's also one of the smartest things you could do because to mitigate Okizemi in this game, one of the best ways you can go, I'm going to shut down every single defensive option you have, is just run up to somebody and crouch block. If they wake up 3, you're fine. If they wake up 2, you're fine. If they wake up buttons, you're fine. What is the one thing that beats that? If they wake up and throw you.
So when they
Yeah.
want to respect your Okizemi and do the smart MK thing and go, okay, you know what? I don't have to worry about 90% of the stuff he can do. That little 10% will get you the win, and Wake Up Throw will do that. And so
that's
I
fair.
ceased at some point tuned into that. The way that it spread was I got it in Cease's head, play a little stupider. You're playing too smart and it's killing you. Cease, while experimenting with playing dumb, discovered how strong Wake Up Throw is, and then he somehow spread that cancer to the rest of the team, and now they all do it. I'm still like one of the few who doesn't do it on the team, but he just got them addicted to it, and now they can't stop. I also feel like he got everybody else playing Garrus too. I don't know where this whole thing is now, where we have 9 Garrus players, but
Yes, yeah.
yeah, I mean it is what it is.
It's kind of smart too if you really think about it. Well, a lot of good players, they're going to like walk backwards and wait for you to forward roll so they can punish your forward roll. Wait for you to jump so they can anti-air you. If you just wake up grab, you know what I mean? Or they're waiting for you to wake up armor, and like that just throws your opponent off completely. It is.
Well, it also adds in this layer too, because the second they realize you're willing to Wake Up Throw, now to keep themselves safe from say from 90% of the options is go up to you and block, right? Now when they're like, oh my god, this kid is really waking up and throwing me. Now to be safe from everything, they have to block slightly farther away from you. And when they walk up to you and they block slightly farther away, now you get up for free with no resources because they're not close enough to enforce anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, definitely. And it works. It definitely works. I tripped out whenever we played Cease, and he's just wake up, grab. I'm like, what is this? You know?
I'm playing like a fucking crackhead.
I mean, listen, you have to. It's part of I'm a Jackie player. I have to play Jackie, and sometimes playing Jackie is being a crackhead. Just because people will get hit.
So if I wake up, jump like 5 times in a row, does that mean I'm ready to join the Golden Coalition?
Well, if you wake up, jump, and it keeps working, maybe, you know.
There you go.
I'm just
Exactly.
an asshole. I don't care if it works or not. I'm just doing it. I'm establishing that I will do it.
Well, it's always the problem is that it's always good to establish that you will do it. It's just the point where I will do this versus I'm willing to die for this becomes like, you know, the line. So it's like enforcing to somebody I will jump because I don't think you think I'm stupid enough to keep doing this will sometimes work. But if your thing is like, I've seen players be like, okay, I'm just going to hold up. By the 7th time, you're getting knocked down. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, I have
yeah.
another question. If I tell them I'm gonna jump and I jump, what does that mean?
I wouldn't tell them. Like, I think
yeah,
the element of surprise
tells them.
remains in. Well, if you tell them and they get hit, honestly, it's kind of on them at that point. Like,
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I'll just be playing Thumper and be like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna jump. He doesn't read it. Stupid. Fucking
I mean, if Thumper's not there just fucking, like, back spiking you, at that point, I'd be like, do what you want. I'm just going to stand over here and do back spikes the second you get up. Like, and
I mean, sometimes he really doesn't do what he's gonna do, but I mean, more often than not, he does do what he's gonna say he's gonna do.
It's the mind game. What do you mean, man?
Yeah, I mean, there's that. So.
yeah, I mean, it's the layer of fundamental FGC. Everything is a mind game. Every single thing you do can become a mind game in some way.
Yeah, and
This is
one
true.
thing with Thumper, every game that I play Kano against him, I just wake up, jump, and then Kano ball. He gets hit every time.
Oh no, that's actually really, really good for especially if you do it like as soon as if you jump back and do it as soon as you get up off the floor, it shuts down. I want to say if I keep doing this percentage thing, I want to say 70% of what they could do to you on Oki gets shut down by jumping away and doing immediate Kano ball. It's just too fast.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Yeah. Kano's actually Slutty playing Kano is just the most annoying thing in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine Kano's a demon character. Like,
Yes. Yes.
That's what the fuck I'm saying.
Oh, by the way, guys, we want to welcome Last Bad Day. I saw him come up in the chat.
Hey, how's it
Yes.
going?
The goat.
Yes.
oh my king.
Welcome, bro.
Thank you. Can I quickly add something to that?
Please.
The wake up throw thing. I think like probably one of the most like mindfucky things you can ever do in this game is to know that somebody's going to try to shimmy you and wake up and just wake up, dash forward and throw them. And it's like just showing that you have no fear to do that. I don't know. Like if that happened to me, at least I would be like, well, I guess I'm just gonna backdash twice every time I knock this guy down. Fuck it. Like this is too scary.
See, the problem is that there's so much truth to it because, like, I specifically have a setup that I do where with some characters, the only way that you're going to get out of it is to wake up, dash at me, and throw me.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to say what the setup is because I like keeping it, but there is like a corner situation I put people in where if they don't like run at me and throw me, I get out of it for free.
So what if I just wake up Teabag?
Well, then it's Jackie and you're in goop, so I'll probably just hold block and let you do that.
Wow. LBD, since you came in the chat, did you have any more any questions right now for Kevin?
For Kevin, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what you guys have covered. I guess, but I guess just like how's everything going with the clan? And I see that you are doing like events. I think on Fridays again, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I started my exhibition series again. The guys in the clan, it's been great, especially because the farther it's gone along. In the beginning, the leadership role was like really stressful as far as how much I had to cover. It's grown to the point where a lot of the tasks that I had to be concerned about before, I've been able to delegate out to other people. So before, for the events, I'd have to do the whole event. I'd have to sign everybody up. I'd have to do all the scorekeeping. I'd have to update all this information. I have a team of people who do that now. I go, the event's done. Here's the information. Do the scores. It just gets done, The Matcherino partnership has helped with all of the donations. That basically, once I set that page up, it runs itself. Cease is like a big part in just keeping the MK guides on track. Even if there's ones on the team that are better than him, then he doesn't want to admit that are better than him, He's at least good at kind of like keeping them focused on where they should be, putting their attention. So it's been nice getting to absolve myself of some of that responsibility.
That's great. Do you guys have any plans to, what's the plan with, if I may ask, with offline's really coming back in full force over the next 6 months or so?
Right now, there's a fair portion of us that are coming to Combo Breaker. So I know, I think off the top of my head, from people that I know that are confirmed, I know like me and my fiance are going. She won't really be at the venue. She'll just be in the area, I know Varahel is going. Turkey's going. I believe Dark Elite is going. I think Kairos is going. Times Infinity is going. Trying to make sure I don't forget anybody. But there's going to be a good, at least I want to say like 7 to 8 of us that we know are there, and another 3 that are like 50-50.
Nice.
Oh, is Cease going? Is Cease?
I'm really trying to fucking guilt trip Cease into going. I can't get this motherfucker to leave his house.
I will actually make a fucking GoFundMe for this.
I don't even think it's a money issue. I think it's just.
I think it's the issue that I'm gonna make that motherfucker go.
It's GameStop. No, GameStop, they're holding him back.
Oh,
GameStop
and lava
has been
cakes.
I mean, listen, if you got to go to his house and rip his door off the hinges just to get him out there, I'll pay you to get him out.
I would do that shit for free, not because of love.
Well, I mean, at least do it for the cost of the door,
Yes, agreed.
No, but Cease really needs to go.
He's gotten so fundamentally strong. And the thing with him, too, is that because he hasn't attended an offline before, I'm really curious how well he's got. I don't know how comparable offline nerves are going to be compared to his pride in his own head at home,
I would say
And so I've been...
Oh, you can go.
No, go ahead, please.
I would say after like the first match with Cease, being like we somewhat know Cease, play with him a lot, but after like the first game, first set that he plays, I feel like he'll get into it and play like how he would online. Maybe not exactly the same. It'd probably take like a few offline tourneys for him to go to like get used to everything. But yeah, I feel like he'd do pretty good.
I think he would do really well too, but that's also my concern is that because of that, I want to start getting him to offline faster, so that he kind of gets over that quicker. You never know with people. Some people go and their first day, it's like they're at home, They really don't feel it at all. But you don't know exactly how someone's going to react to it until they attend the offline. And locals are one thing, majors are a complete other thing. When you're in a local, you're like, I'm in the room with my buddies. We all go here. We know how we expect me to perform, When I was attending Danger Zone, like back in the earlier MK days, I went to Danger Zone. Everybody knew I was roughly going to make it to top 8 if I ran into Coach Steve, if I ran into Gur. It's Coach Steve and it's Gur, When you go to a major, that's so many people from the community, people you like, people you don't like. Like, you can be playing an off-stream set. Let's say Cease is fighting, I don't know, Elgato Manny off-stream. There will be 20 people just standing behind them, and they're not on stream.
Right.
Like you never get a break from people eyeing you the whole time, you know? So the pressure is like pretty consistent. I want to know how he'll perform in it, but I can't know until he goes to something, and I don't know when he plans on going.
He'll probably just be chilling there listening to music.
I would like to hope so, or just trying to talk to every fucking girl that walks by, you know?
Yeah.
5'3" demon.
I was going to actually just say, Kevin, if you and any of your players need any kind of like anxiety management resources for competing, I'd be happy to send them your way.
I'll make sure to send them your way.
Yeah. So, because like I think it can definitely be like a really big transition from offline to online, or sorry, the other way around. I mean, yeah, you know, for a lot of players that can be pretty anxiety inducing. But for Cease, I really want to see him play, because one of the reasons is because like Cease, he uses a really interesting version of Garrus that no other top player uses, and I think that Cease is one of those players that I see that really makes use of the variation system the way it is, where like he's not playing just like a meta Garrus all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I love seeing more players like that in our community, right? The players that use like the interesting takes on their character that aren't conventional as much. So.
Yeah, he's worked it down to such a science at this point too. Like there was a conversation I was having, I want to say a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, between him and Dark, where I was trying to explain how they play neutral differently, and Cease was like, he was almost somewhat offended, but I was saying like Dark plays true fundamental neutral, and Cease plays weird technical neutral, right? And you know, and Cease was basically taking that like, what you're saying I don't have like good neutral, and it's not that he does it, but it's that his neutral is so specific to him that when he does it with other characters, he can still do it, but he can never do it as effectively as he does it with Garrus, because his Garrus neutral is almost essentially built entirely off of setups that he has labbed out since the beginning of the game with Garrus, and when he puts you in those situations, what he's essentially doing is creating a situation where I'm here, you're there, and I play this situation more than you do. I'm Garrus in this situation all the time, and you're like, let's say he's fighting Last Bad Day, right? You're Joker in this situation with me right now, but I've been Garrus against Joker in this situation 500 times.
Right.
So I know everything you could potentially do, and I know what all the answers are. And if you don't know that, I win, and then we play this game, and he'll loop scenarios like that the whole match.
Yeah, and he's super good at recognizing too, like immediately what you're trying to do, I find.
Yeah, because and I'm sure, you know, because a lot of you guys like are fundamentally strong enough to have this. Like you have scenarios where, you know, I put somebody in this 9 times out of 10 they jump, and then you anti-air somebody, and everybody on commentary is like, oh my god, he got the anti-air into the conversion. But it's because you expected the jump to come. Yeah, like I do this to people and they jump, and then I hit them, and then I do this, you know?
Just finding those OSs, you know, just like, okay, if you forward roll, you're dead. You jump, you're dead. You know, it doesn't really...
Well, it's not even necessarily like I wouldn't call it technically OSs, because OSs are always going to be I do this one thing and it covers 7 options. But what Cease does isn't I put you in the scenario and I'm going to do this one thing that's going to shut down. He has some things like that, but mostly what he has is I'm going to put you in this one scenario and you can do 3 things. And I know each of the 3 things you can do. And I know what shuts down each of the 3 things you can do. And now it's just on me to react to what your decision is. And because I've been in this scenario 500 times, I have the ability to perfectly react to all 3 of those options.
Right.
So when you jump, I know what the jump answer is. When you try to roll away, I know how to chase that. If you try to roll past me, I know how to answer that. And then he just plays that game with you. And then by the time he puts you in the corner and plays that game and your options get more limited, it gets worse. Because now you can only do 2 things. So I don't even have to react to 3, I have to react to 2. And he just continuously beats you down and limits it. You not knowing that he's doing this, or other people fighting him who don't know that he's doing this, think, oh my god, he knows everything I want to do. I can't jump. I can't roll. I can't wake. So then they get frustrated, and then he just drowns them after that. And Dark does a similar thing, where Dark also gets people equally frustrated, but he does it with fundamental neutral, where he's at distance and he's zoning you and he knows when you're going to get frustrated. And when you jump, he can like feel it. He's like, yeah, this guy, I'm going to shoot 2 more lightning bolts and then he's going to jump. And then I'm going to call him a pussy, you know, and they just going to like suck you out the air for jumping. throw you back out. Then you're going to try to press a button somehow, like he's playing Raid, and he's going to magically forward 4 exactly when you press the button. Then he combos you, so now you're like, I can't follow him, I can't jump, I can't press a button. So they do the same thing, but with like different methods.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that's like one of the marks of a player at that level, though, is they control the pace of the game so well, but they're not necessarily so offensive. Like they are when it's their time to be, I guess. But I think with Cease is a great example because he has so many different kind of layers to his Oki and stuff like that he just basically puts you in one situation and then lets you kill yourself on him.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Like I don't know. That's a mark of like, you know, the really, really top level setup players I find is that they just get one interaction in their favor and then just let you lose. Basically.
Yeah.
So
Let you defeat yourself, exactly.
yeah.
And then it's worse too because since you feel like you're defeating yourself, like it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm getting outplayed. Like it's the way that they do it makes you feel like you're stupid and you're making all these wrong decisions every time because you're just like, how else would every time I press something I get hit unless I'm dumb, you know? And then you mentally give up, and the second with any competitive thing, the second you mentally give up, you've thrown the match away.
Yeah, definitely. It's a shitty feeling, but you're like, well, I got outplayed, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta hold it. You could be upset about it, but he's moving on in bracket and you're not, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I know Shletty's really gonna love this, and this is gonna be kind of I guess in a sense an edgy thing.
Oh please, these are my favorite.
You actually got to. I want to say I watched the video a while back, but you actually got to commentate with LTG, right?
Oh my God, you're famous fuck! Holy shit!
Well, I want you to finish the question first before I answer.
No, I heard some of the stuff like the back and forth. I'm like, how did that come about? Like, was he actually like on your channel? Like, did you have him as a special guest? Like, how did that even like start?
Okay, so this is my favorite thing with this clip because it's one of the reasons I love this questions is it really emphasizes how well of a job I did, right? He's not there. That's not him.
Oh my gosh, bro! This whole time I thought he was there.
Why are you getting exposed?
What I used to do is, and this is like, you know, before we went live, I was talking about how, you know, I got a little lazier with being creative, you know, as I've started like going into my imaginary tenure as a content person. So what I used to do was back before I had, and I don't even want to say, well, I guess for lack of a better term, but before I had the level of influence that I have now, albeit still small, but before it was even smaller, I couldn't always lock down guest commentators. And what I used to do to fill weeks where I couldn't do them is I would have imaginary guests. I had two go-tos, which was either I would have quote unquote Stephanie Brownback. And Stephanie Brownback as a commentator is, I would take the picture of Stephanie from the combat cast that they had where she just had you remember everybody else was on video and she was just a selfie? I would take her selfie, I would put it in the other commentary spot, and I would pretend to talk to her the whole stream. And the whole joke was essentially that nothing would be said, but I would respond like she said something crazy. People would come and chat all the time and go, I can't hear Stephanie, right? And there was an inside joke where if they were new to the stream and they didn't know that she wasn't there, we would not tell them that she wasn't there. We would let them think they were the only one who couldn't hear Stephanie. And everybody in chat would be like, oh my God, Stephanie, you're so crazy. Why would you say that?
Oh my gosh.
The LTG one was I had found an online soundboard of just LTG audio bits. And at the point of the clip that you saw, I had gotten so used to using it that I knew every single soundbite like by heart. So I would click it, let him say something, and then I would react to him. So that was a whole setup fake, like, and that's also that clip that you saw.
Yeah.
You got to remember, I was doing this for 3 hours. So it's 3 hours of me arguing with soundbites.
That's hilarious.
Bro, honestly, like I was fooled. Bro, this whole time I'm like, when the fuck? Like, I missed this. You know what I mean? Like, I was so like, cause, I mean, I was blown. I was like, when the heck? I was like, he didn't even announce this. Like, I know, like, I don't really like, I didn't really get to know you because I heard about you from Cease, so I'd kind of follow here and there. And I'm like, fuck. I was like, he had LTG on his shit. Like, since when?
No, I wish. Yeah, so my dream in the future is definitely 2 commentary goals I want to do is if I ever get to actually do commentary with Low Tier God or Stephanie Brownback, it'll just fulfill like it'll fulfill a prophecy that I don't think is going to happen for a couple of years, but that it'll be one of the signs that I made it if I ever get one of those 2 on.
That's
I
so
feel
funny.
lied to and betrayed.
Well, listen, a lot of these dudes that like just joined the team, they all get shown that clip and they all ask me about it. I have to explain to them all. I was like, yeah, no, that's not. I remember
so this is the first
one.
time you've been asked that.
No, I've been asked this at least like 15 times. I remember like the day of. Who was it? Ava. Ava was the one in the chat who was trying to defend me. She's like, why are you letting him talk to you like that?
Shit.
Yeah, she's like, get me in the Discord call. I'll argue with him. And I just, I had to stay dedicated to the inside joke. I'm like, she doesn't know we can't tell her. And I just, yeah, I just let her sit. She was really worked up about it. Like, oh, that's fucked up. He would talk to you like that. And to this day, I never told her it was fake. So she still might not know.
Until she listens to this, which will probably never happen, but that's hilarious. Bro, I was fooled. I'm still at shock, honestly.
I'm so like shocked that he lied to me.
So Kevin, you're like, LTG, what do you think of that play? C's just, set that guy up and
Fucking character. Fucking character.
Yeah, 100%.
Dude,
the
that
more
was
offensive he
funny.
sounded, the better. Like, I'd be like, oh my god, can you believe that Noob Saibot gets access to that much damage? He's like, you're such a fucking cook character. Just...
A cook, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, dude, it was perfect. I like I said, I was fooled. I thought this whole time, because I saw it on your YouTube, on your channel, and I was like, holy shit! Like, he actually got LTG. Like, I never thought LTG would get out of his comfort zone to like commentate on just on MK.
Yeah, no, you were right. He wouldn't.
Yeah. Have you ever asked him?
No, there's no way.
There's no way.
One day in the future, I'll try it. I would like to think, because I'm not fully convinced that he's not, to some level, self-aware, of how he's perceived and plays into the character. I would like to think that at some point in the future, I could get to the level where I could get him in on the joke and, be like, this would be really funny if you came on. And because then the joke would be convincing people that he's still a soundboard to later reveal it's actually him,
Oh, yeah.
I would love the
hilarious.
idea of that. I would love the same idea of having Stephanie Brown back on and having her just like stay still as if she's a selfie to then reveal that she's actually there.
That would be legendary, honestly.
Yeah, but I got to put a lot more work in before I get there.
I think you're there, but I get it. Like, a lot of those people are, they're pretty busy with their shit.
Yeah.
I did have somebody in the chat did want this question to be asked. Before I forget. And I know it also kind of fits with the video you sent me, because you actually had somebody coaching. It's what's your view on coaching, on coaches? Like, you think it's a viable thing, online or offline? Like, you think it should be like they should always be there, or you think maybe not really? Like, I guess I didn't know how Ray wanted to really ask this question, so I'm trying to just get the best.
The first thing is online, you can't do anything about it. It's almost not a question worth asking, because if I'm online getting coached, there's no way you can fact check that. Mm-hmm. You're not gonna know. It's not gonna matter. I don't think there's necessarily a problem with it. I think watching competitive sets, like I think it makes them more interesting when with the absence of coaching, because it's funner to watch a player themselves have to figure it out. But it's also it exists in almost every other sport. Like, I'm a big combat sports fan. I could talk to you about UFC for 5 hours if you want to sit down and listen to my opinion on every fighter on the roster in every weight class. Mm-hmm. I think out of, like competitive sports entertainment where they're pretty much working together anyway, one of the most 1v1 sports that's out there outside of, I guess chess, you don't have coaching, UFC, you still do. You have a group of 5 men that are trying to explain to you, the mind games that the other guy is playing. So it really comes down to kind of like just the general feel of the community overall as to whether or not that's fair. And it's kind of like it's a difficult conversation to have, but I don't think I've never seen coaching piss me off to the point where I was just like, Jesus, he wouldn't have won that set if that guy's not there,
Right.
Because also it's real, as I'm sure with a lot of you guys, it's really easy to tell somebody to do something and then for them to actually still be able to implement it in the match. Like I've coached people during their online sets when they've asked me as a favor, and I've told them like, listen, when this happens, you have to punish that, and have watched them not do it for like 3 matches, It's still an easier said than done thing. I think the main issue with it isn't necessarily that it's going to change the overarching element of competitive play so much as it is that ruling being inconsistent between different events becomes confusing because you kind of want to go into a competitive environment and know what the rules are there, We're all in general agreement that matches should be first to 3 for our game. That's different for different games, But most games, we've all agreed that it's first to 3. We've all agreed that whoever wins, has to stay with their character, can't change anything. The loser needs the opportunity to adapt. What the winner's doing is working. It's unfair if they can change too. But these are all rules for the community based on our perception of the game. So it's our overall consensus that has to dictate whether or not that's okay. It's not like a bigger we don't have a governing body that can make that decision for us.
Right.
So it's really up to us as a whole to decide on it. The problem is it's so hard to get different people in the community to sit down and have a fucking conversation about anything without it turning into a fist fight at an offline, Like you would need to really compile just a strong group of players, or NetherRealm would have to make the call for us because we would end up respecting basically whatever they say,
Kevin, I have a question about that though. Like you referenced UFC, which I think is a great example, and I'm thinking other 1v1 things like tennis even or something like that. But I think one of the fundamental differences it seems with the FGC is that like the coaches are, at least in my experience, almost always competitive players themselves, often in the same tournament, and the coaches change like every set, basically, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you could be like in the crowd and you like look to the player beside you and like, hey, you want to be my coach for this set, kind of thing, or whatever. So what do you think about that in regards to the rules and stuff like that? Like, should people have actually have to basically
designated coach?
Declare their coach, or...
Well, that would be an interesting one, right? Because when you are a UFC fighter, you do have like a pre-approved team that's coming in.
Exactly.
But you're also fighting one guy that you've like... Because the difference of different coaches, right, is let's say Slayer's your coach for one match, and then Forever King's your coach for another match, and Forever King knows a tendency that you could take advantage of that this guy does. But when you're in the UFC, you've been studying nothing but that guy's tendencies for 6 months straight, It's... I don't necessarily know if the difference in coaches would matter. Again, I think it's just the consistency of the ruling. So if I can have whatever coach I want between every match, as long as you can have the same thing, I don't think you're going to feel shorted.
Yeah.
Like you might, it might turn into this life thing if you're one of those guys, you're like, well, I don't have any friends, then it might just be tougher for you. But I mean, with some people, it's going to be like that. Your group of friends might not be as like well versed in the game. Like there's definitely some people you'd rather have coach you,
Right.
But then that itself turns into a business too. How it's already tough enough to get money around. Now you can pay. If you paid Slayer to coach you, he would be on everybody's shoulder the whole night, So it just comes down to the consistency of the rule. I do like the idea of kind of like coming in and delegating like, this is my coach. I think the bigger issue with that then starts turning into how many people can say this, like how many people can have the last bad day as their coach,
Right.
Before he starts not being able to play.
Well, that's, yeah. I think one of the issues though is that like you can have coaches that special like with the quick with the ability to just kind of have a coach who like every set that's different. You can have a circle of friends who all play different characters, and say you're up against like the Cetrion and then you're up against the Jackie. You can talk to these other high level Cetrion and Jackie players and be like, "Hey, tell me what to do," right? And I guess that's kind of where I think it gets murky, is because like your opponent might not have the opportunity to do that, but like, is it on them that they haven't made those social connections? Like, I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, it might be because you, as much as coaching is a concern during the set, that there's also no rule. There's no way to stop somebody from getting that advice just from their friends in between matches anyway. Like, you still have the ability to look at your bracket, realize you're fighting a Cetrion player, and then run around and grab somebody, you know?
Right.
That would still have that knowledge. So I think you delegate them to only be able to use a certain amount of them. You cut them to a specific time limit, you know? Because then it's also, even if it's not an information thing, it could just be a cut of momentum tactic, you know? So you can have two people. These are like your designated coaches that you said you're going to rely on. They can talk to you for 30 seconds in between games. No more, no less, you know? Well, no more. Definitely less if they want. Why would anybody care about that? But they can't talk to you for longer than 30 seconds, and then they got to go, and then it's on you, you know? And then you have past that 30 seconds to think about what they said, and then you have to play.
Right. I think that would be interesting, like because you talked about providing more opportunities for players or people in the scene to make money, right? Where it's like, you know, like I don't know what his status of a competitive player would be. Like I'm sure people would hire like Aziz if he was.
Oh
like,
yeah,
hey,
100%.
I'll be your coach. You know, I've labbed every fucking scenario in this game. You know, I can come up and tell you exactly what's going on. And he's done it for like so many different characters. Like I don't know what it
Yeah.
competitively, but like somebody like that, I feel could like really make I don't know, like a career out of it, right? Just like
Even Ketchup and Mustard, they know the games inside out. I'm pretty sure they could give you some really good advice as well.
Yeah.
I mean, even you right now could go on a website and pay Justin Wong if you have the money to teach you how to get good in the fighting games he plays, you know? Like this, you're always going to have the ability to try to solve the problem with money. The thing is, that's not going to work for everybody, and there's always going to be some level of it still falling on you at some point.
Oh, hell yeah. Definitely.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely agreed. Just kind of like how people kind of make the argument like, oh, well, this person's good because, oh, they got this on their controller where they have independent buttons, or they're playing a hitbox or a fight stick. You know what I mean? Like, well, it's kind of honestly up to you what you do with those tools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I tried out the independent D-pad. I didn't like it. I was like, nope.
Oh, with what, like the Battle Beaver?
Yeah, well, no, I got like I got something that's super similar to that, and I didn't like it. It is easier to do command grabs and everything, but like, I probably need to get the actual Battle Beaver ones. I'll get some.
Yeah, you're probably just trash at the game.
There's that. I'm fucking sorry.
Speaking of people talking shit, I see. It's actually kind of funny that your team actually does get a kick out of trolling each other. It seems
Yes.
like. And so, do you like? I mean, obviously you allow it. Is there? I mean, is there lines, or do you like? You're like, hey, is there a problem here for real, or like you guys just fucking with each other, or like what kind of draws the line?
There's not really a lot of occasions where there's actual like malintent behind it. It's
Because I
usually
assume
just
they're
like
all
all in
close
good.
for the most part.
Yeah, it's essentially everybody on the team thinks everybody else on the team is ass, you know? And we're very loud about it all day. I think Bird is ass, Bird thinks I'm ass, I think Zeke is ass, Zeke thinks, you know,
Right.
Cease thinks Ram is ass, Ram thinks Dark is ass. Like it's just like you can basically plot us in just a giant like radial circle. And
I would love to you guys to do the real world and just see what you guys say. Like, it's like, yeah, I don't like how this fucker's playing, and then
it's trash talk all day.
Oh yeah, bro, we played really well, dude.
We're either telling each other that everybody's ass, or we're joking about wanting to fuck each other. That's all the conversation. There's rarely any actual important like dialogue going on in there. There's the occasional advice, or the occasional, hey, what do I do about this thing? Or, hey, I just lost to this, what do I do? That's about 20%. These guys are so good that it's gotten to the point of the conversation they have. 80% of it is just them talking shit.
There you go.
Sounds like me.
Yeah,
That is a good attitude
where,
to have.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like where there was some similarity between our guys and your team a little bit. Like, I mean, I guess it's just it depends on what would you call it, the synergy, or I don't want to say synergy, but what's the other word I'm looking for? I guess just camaraderie, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, there is you basically you have one of two options, which is that you can treat your team like a business, or you can treat it like, I feel like saying brotherhood is corny, but you can treat it as that. You can treat it as a fellowship. I don't know. That sounds even worse than but they just both sound corny. I can't come up with one that doesn't sound dorky.
Like Lord of the Rings shit over here.
Yeah. But it's going to be one of those two things. Either everybody's hanging out and having a fun time, which generally is going to, like, it's annoying enough already when you want to try to be the best player in the game to constantly have to do that all the time and go through all this tech and grind and lab all of this stuff. It's why one of my advice for anytime somebody goes like, what character should I play? And I think anybody who plays competitive, usually, we default to the same answer because there's enough truth behind it. It's whoever you think is interesting. Because the second you make it like, I'm playing this character just to win, if that motivation to win goes, your motivation to practice stops. If the character's fun and you're finding it interesting to lap through their options anyways, there's a bigger chance you'll do it longer, And so there's importance in having a positive dichotomy between the group. The second, I've lied, so I won't name specifically who has said or the groups I've heard about, but I've heard people talk about other groups they've been in or other groups they were interested in being in, when the entire thing was a business and they didn't feel appreciated. And it's mostly because you don't have like a back and forth like that. Everybody on my team should feel like they're equally important. There are aspects where there's still a point where there's a business aspect to it. When it comes to certain perks, those are definitely going to get favored to people who are performing better, but that's kind of like, the minority of the perks that you get on the team. Generally, almost everything else everybody's going to share. It's when it comes down to very particular things that I'm going to start focusing on who's doing more for us or who's still playing the game. Like, if you're on a break, take your break. Everybody needs their breaks, but while you're on break, I have to focus on the people who are here, But yeah, if being on the team felt like, I say this about Combat League a lot. I forget who I stole it from. I think I stole it from Juan. MK Combat League can get frustrating because it gets to a point where it feels like you're clocking into work. And if
I never thought about it like that, but yeah,
it does. It's like you boot up Combat League and you're like, fuck, I got, it's like the same thing when you get to work. Oh, I got to check my emails. I have to, I got to do my 5 matches. I got to do my 25 uppercuts, The second being on the team gives you that feeling, it's not fun anymore. And then when it's not fun, you want to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I definitely feel that.
Kevin, I have a question for you. Oh, sorry, go.
No, please, go ahead. I've been asking a lot of the questions.
Yeah, you talked about how, like, there's the people on your team kind of choose the characters they're interested in and work to excel at those characters. Does character loyalty or character usage, is that taken into consideration in the selection process of people joining the team at all?
It was earlier on. Now it's less so. Now I feel like we have, because the biggest thing with character selection when you're trying to build a roster for the way that NRS teams are, is that you also need a roster that's diverse enough in team battles to deal with other rosters, right? So if we have let's say our mix of our foundational top 8 players, which is mostly, if we do team battles, we're going to try to throw some combination of the top 8 in there. And every top 8 player we have has a character that loses to zoning. All we need is to play another team that's equally good that has a zoner on the team and we lose, So there's an aspect of where it matters in the beginning when we were doing our original team composition. Now it's at the point where we're diverse enough that it's fine. And now we can take just based off the skill level instead of feeling like there are slots that need to be filled.
Okay, gotcha.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because I was going to say your team has quite a diverse character selection. I've noticed, especially you have players who really kind of lean into the lower tier characters, but do very well with them. So,
You talking about Wu, ain't you? You know, Baraka's ass.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Thumper, but you know because you
It's
play
okay.
him.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, you just, Baraka, you have 2 Scarlet players from what I see, so it's like, you know, like, they obviously do very well with these characters, but, you know, it's not, it's not like you're just recruiting a bunch of people that play top 5, is what I see, right? So.
Yeah, there's different competitive strategies that are all viable, and ideally that's the thing with character pick too. It's like you're either sticking with a character because you're going to be interested enough to lab out all their options, and then you're relying on your loyalty just through knowledge. You're picking a character because they're reliable based on the meta, which. Again, you know, people are going to shit on all the time, but it depends on your goal. If your goal is to have fun, pick who's fun. If your goal is to win, pick who's going to win, you know. But with lower tiers, there's 2 strategies with them, which is either the level of unpredictability because you're going to be labbed against less, so you can get away with a lot more. And you're going into fights kind of trying to like feel out how much you can really get away with. Oh, this person doesn't know that when Scarlet does this, she's plus, you know, and then you can abuse that the whole time the second you realize somebody doesn't understand. Or, again, it still leads into kind of like the mid-level just for fun loyalty thing where it's you have the unpredictability, you have the advantage of people being less informed on your matchup, and then you also have the fact that you know so much about the character you can just tech yourself out of like most situations.
Mm-hmm. And I got Blackbeard that has a really juicy question here. How do you kick somebody out that sucks ass?
We do and we have. There's
or if they start to suck ass is what they say.
Huh?
If they start to suck ass, I mean it's pretty much the same thing I said, but I read it incorrectly. But
well, it's there's 2 things. There's either a level of dedication you have to get better, or you have to be a certain level of coachable. And we've had people that have been a bad combination of kind of like the negative side of both, and then, you know, we just have a polite conversation with them. And I mean, it's not like it's a real job, you know, so it's not like
right.
They're unemployed if they're not on the team, but it does come with a couple of warnings. Like we'll have meetings with them, and the captain of whatever roster they're on will delegate to them what the problems are. I will literally send them basically a whole dissertation as to like, this is the stuff you're not doing. Either because they're not trying and they're getting lazy, or technically this, you know, your neutral is getting poor, your defense against this, these matchups are bad for you, you know, like this is the specific stuff you're struggling with that you got to tighten up. And then it's kind of like a thing where we'll note the level of effort over time. And then I think if by the time I have to have a 3rd meeting about it, it's just like, okay, it's not going to work, you know?
Okay, that makes sense. The 3-strike system, pretty much.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I don't like it being like that, but it's a kind of thing where it's like it's so easy to stay on the team. And like when I say like 3 meetings, I'm talking like this goes over a period of like 5 months. It's not like it's like I tell you something and then within 30 days if it's not fixed, you know? Like I'm just letting you know that we're noticing it doesn't feel like you want to be here, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't want to adhere anybody to staying on a team they don't want to be on, you know?
Oh yeah, agreed. Just like you shouldn't be at a job you don't want to be at.
Yeah. Like this should be fun for all of us, and if it's not fun for you, I don't want to waste your time.
Oh, go ahead, LPD.
So, yeah, I guess I'm just curious, like, what are the markers for like a reasonable improvement then when something like that is happening? I'm just curious.
It's hard because it's individualistic. It depends on specifically what problems they're having.
Right.
And then there's also the only thing that I'm like, to an extent, stern on, I guess it's just, how could I bundle it up? I guess like PR would be like a good term for it. Like I have a thing where I do not like the idea of people on TGC being toxic. We've had people on the team that have had like past issues, you know, and like I remember with one of them specifically, I was like, listen, if you want to, you know, we're considering adding you to the team, but you have this drama that you have not addressed. I can't take you on unless you address. I was like, I can, you know, support you in addressing it, but I can't have you on with you having this little like secret Easter egg of drama that you're like hoping nobody finds out about, because then it's my problem when it comes out, you know? And the way life is, at some point, it will. Once somebody who doesn't like you realizes it's you and you're doing well, it's gonna come out. So you have to take care of it now, you know?
Well, yeah, that's the internet.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to deal with this a year from now when it can be dealt with now, you know? And I try to, like, you know, make sure that I address to them too that, like, listen, in the future, this is going to be something you have to deal with anyway. Like, if you're trying to really grow in this community, it's going to come up at some point. You might as well deal with it now before it gets worse. Because there's one difference between it being a thing you haven't addressed for 3 months and it being a thing you haven't addressed for 3 years.
Yeah. Well, man, and people are better internet detectives than fucking Batman these days. Like, they'll go through, you know, like they'll go through everything you've ever said, and yeah, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, they'll go through your Facebook page. They'll, you know, they'll dig up pictures of your mom 3 years ago when she wore a dress that wasn't flattering, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess kind of piggyback off the, you know, the team thing. Are you guys doing anything like a part of, like, I know, like, I want to say like KWA. I want to say, is it KWA or MRH, or they're doing kind of like, you know, us versus the world, or I know like RGF, but I've heard, you know, there was kind of some past issues where things didn't like maybe didn't go according to plan, so you guys couldn't do it. Like, are you guys planning on doing something like that, or are you guys gonna maybe go up against RGF since they're gonna do like a, you know, RGF against the world type of thing, or what
we have a. So I have kind of like a quote unquote website that acts as a database for the guys that they can check, like, whenever they need info or stuff from, you know, it's like, it's essentially like this data management site that I have set up, and I have Tat manage for me when I'm too busy to look at it. And within there's a pipeline of who we fought, how we've done, who we want to fight, what our perceived level of difficulty will be against that team, you know? So I have it like rated how tough I think a fight with STG will be, how tough I think a fight with VL would be for any team that I know about. The order that I would like to fight them in to keep it interesting, the timeline for how long I would like to get to that fight. It's just, so we have like 2 to 3 things that are on that schedule that should be coming up at some point in the foreseeable future, but it's a matter of scheduling that event and then also scheduling our guys to be available for it. That like becomes a problem. So there's kind of like one conversation that's happening right now that I'm checking on, and then one conversation that I need to have. And then there's also sometimes you line up an event with somebody, it doesn't work out for whatever reason, and then you don't hear from them for like, you know, months about it. So I've had a couple of shots that I've tried to take to get events like that going where for whatever reason they don't become available for it, and then they have not been available for it for 4 to 5 months, you know?
Right. It is hard to get that amount of people to even be at an event at one time, you know, because it's not only the time consuming, you know, it's just it's really and you know all the different time zones. You know what I mean? And I'm saying this just because I've done this through a podcast standpoint or streaming standpoint, and it's hard. It really is. I could only imagine doing it at a team basis where everybody's literally from different places too. Like that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, luckily most of our guys are EST. There's the couple of them that aren't, but usually we're able to work it out just fine.
Okay, that makes sense. Anybody else have any questions for Kevin right now?
Actually, yeah, I got a question.
Lay it on me.
So I heard you guys talk. I heard you talking about. I'm sorry, something funny?
Go ahead.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you, Thumper. So I heard you talking about kicking people out of the group. Has anyone voluntarily left? Maybe because of the someone's actions or the way that they felt that the group acted towards them?
Have people left?
Thumper, is something funny?
I know.
Please,
I'll mute my mic. I'll mute my mic.
You are not. It is not your time to talk. I am so sorry, Mr. Cologne.
It's okay. I know more recently we had when this whole well, you know, they branded themselves Ho. I don't want to get in trouble for that. But when the House of Denia kind of like plan was like coming into a fruition, we definitely had a group of them that left to go join that. And there was a point of it where we split from one person, and then after that we saw an immediate kind of like jump with like 3 to 4 other people that were just like, yeah, it's my time to go, yeah, it's my time to go, yeah, it's my time to go. And then like a week after that, the House of Edenia kind of thing was announced, and all of them were on that, you know? Yeah, so I don't know if that one separation as the catalyst for it, because the way that it played out, it's like, especially because I know with the TGC thing, we were so ready for that in advance. I don't know if that plan was like, okay, we're going to stay here. If this plays out this way, then we have this backup plan. But their branding it with it was so good that I'm almost not even mad at it, you know?
Right.
I'm just... Because I really, like, at the end of the day, it's a fighting game thing, and I want everybody to do well. So as long as they're all happy and they're doing well, I'm fine with it. And I don't have any, like, bad... Nobody really left on amicable terms, you know? Like, everything was just, hey, we have this thing. If this is how the setup is, we have this thing we want to do. We're going to go do this. As long as they're having fun doing that, you know? I'm fine with it.
That makes
So
sense.
the reason, okay, so I'm pretty sure you said you're gonna mute your mic. So the reason why, Mr. Clone, that I'm asking these questions, you know, it hits a little close to home for me personally, because I feel like the group that I'm with, I'm not gonna say any names,
Okay.
but I'll just give you their initials, WBM.
Here we go.
Okay.
Okay.
It could be anybody. We don't know, you know. And I just
Yeah,
feel
Warner
like I'm
Brothers
not
Music.
Thank you very much. Like I said, when I'm saying names, I feel like I'm not being appreciated as the member that I said I was going to be, you know, and I just feel like I'm being taken advantage of. What would you recommend for me in this situation that I'm in?
I would recommend you have a conversation with your leadership, and you be very stern about your concerns, your aspirations, how they're not being met, and what your terms are.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I like that. I think I will implement some of that.
All right. I hope it goes well.
WBM, whomever you are, if you're out there listening, okay, I'm not gonna be putting up with your rude remarks anymore. Okay, your little sly comments, it's not funny to me. I get my feelings hurt. I'm human. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, please. I
Yeah, so if you're
apologize.
really about that, just leave.
It's really not
I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna text you, Sid. Don't worry about it. We're gonna text. We're gonna solve the issue, okay?
Kick him, you won't. No balls.
Anyway, now, hey, Mr. Cologne himself, yo, thank you for coming. We can now start the podcast, everybody.
Oh my god.
Did he already do his hello, good morning, good evening, salutations?
Yes.
Weirdo. Oh, you're lame. He did do it, didn't he? Oh, you're lame.
It's bro, it's legendary, dude. He has to do it every
I
time.
have to do it. I have to do it.
Yeah,
Just like
Oh,
Ron
man.
Burgundy has to tell San Diego, stay classy, San Diego. You know what I mean? It's
There you
just-
go. Yeah,
it's
you're
a
right.
thing.
You're right. I'm the one that's lame. You're right, buddy. That's
Yes.
how I'm gonna tell my kids good night today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's your bedtime. Here you are with your father and your mother. Okay, we're here to tuck you in.
Now, Kevin, do you happen to have any questions for us or anything?
I don't know. I guess we'll go through and we'll say, what's everybody's main goal here with being in the community?
So the coolest one in the group, yeah, is definitely me. Definitely a good question. I'm glad you asked. I get that all the time. It's crazy. My gosh, I'm kind of a big deal. But you know, I try to. No, I'm sorry. Let me stop. Everybody's goal. My goal, dude. I spread happiness, dude. I get on Combat League. No, but
You're
no,
a
dude.
cabal player
I'm
with no neutral. Stop. Just fucking stop, please.
Bro, stop. Aren't you an anime? Stay back there, bro. Stay in the back. Aren't you an
We're the
anime?
same
Yo.
Homie said, count your bullets.
Yeah.
No, man, my goal, man, dude, I'm like the most casual gamer in the world, man. I freaking 100%, dude, I just play this game for fun, and I feel bad for you guys that play it and feel like it's a job that does suck. I heard what you guys were saying before, and that's total trash, and I feel bad. Like, I would never want to be a part of a group. Like, I really wouldn't, say, if I can be real right now, dude, I'd never hang out with these guys if, like, I knew that, what I'm saying, joining with them and just feel like, oh, it's a job. Or sometimes I just straight up, I just go to our little game chat that we have, and I'll just hang out and I'll just be talking to people. Just talking to them, man. And it's like, it's so much fun, and like, that's what I feel like, like a group should be, like a little clan that we have, amongst ourselves, it should be. Like, that's hella fun, dude. We're just, some casual gamers, like, that's what I really enjoy, and I feel like, personally, me, I bring that, casual aspect, as far as, like, exit,
Yeah, as long as somebody's keeping them on check,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. And Thumper's just bad, but I'll let him tell you that. I'm sure he's already said that a couple times.
All right, go ahead, Thump.
Yeah.
Confirm, deny?
I'm okay. I wouldn't say I'm bad, because I think, sit over there on this hater island in Hawaii.
Thank you.
Teriyaki Ethernet.
Yeah, he loves teriyaki and spam. But no, what my goal is, honestly, I'm kind of just trying to figure out where I fit in. I do love competing. At times, there's times where it makes me probably lose more hair than I'm already losing. But there's an adrenaline rush to it, and then I just love commentating, and I love doing content. So I'm kind of trying to do all, even though it really is hard to do.
Yeah, it's a brutal schedule. It is.
It really is, and it's just I'm really trying to see where I fit in. And I just love bringing people that I love bringing the community together as much as I can. Finally getting you on here. I got LBD pretty much as a regular on the podcast. I mean, forming with us as the Westside Button Mashers has been awesome. To say the least. So I don't know. I really don't know exactly what I couldn't pinpoint what my goal is per se. But just trying to be a better content creator, just trying to make things fun for everybody, and just legitimately trying to have a good time.
You just want to be involved.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So to summarize, I'm the laughing smiling
I knew the
Buddha.
second I saw the unmute icon, I knew it was a problem.
I'm the smiling laughing Buddha who's happy. And he's the weird 16-year-old prepubescent teen who doesn't know what the hell she is. That person.
You gotta keep it on brand.
Stumper.
I go by he.
That's Stumper. There you go, those pronouns. You tell him, girl.
Proceed.
Yeah, Sid, if you shut up, this podcast will go a lot smoother.
Say no more.
Wow, the disrespect. Disrespect.
Welcome Unshaven, by the way.
Oh yeah. I'm just enjoying the madness.
Appreciate you for joining us, bro. Who else wanted to actually, let out their goals, which is I would say LBD probably competing his heart out in coaching people.
Yeah, I can go, I guess. Yeah, I kind of have a few goals. I don't know if I'd necessarily call them goals, I guess, but I really love competing. I think it's a lot of fun. I find I don't really give a shit at this point whether I win or lose. To be honest, it's more about I just find it really interesting to play a game against somebody else that you both know quite well. I spend all day working with people, and it's kind of fun to switch that up a little bit and play
work against them.
Yeah, exactly, and play against somebody and some things. So, and I mean, I've really loved MK for probably going on 7 years now. So it just the characters and the lore and stuff like that, the tone of it, I really enjoy. So, that, and I think just forming connections with people. I've noticed as I've gotten older. A lot of people I grew up with, we kind of all went separate ways, and my core group, I guess, in real life is kind of small. It's pretty small with some pretty intimate relationships, but I don't have outside of that a lot in common with a lot of my friends that I kind of grew up with. So it's been really nice. It's been really nice to to meet people and form connections through a shared hobby.
Yes,
that we really like. So
trust me, it was so helpful for my sanity to just follow my hobbies and my passions and start communicating with like-minded people on it, because I had a similar falling out with like a group of friends way back when, and I was in a big like depression phase for like 2 to 3 years, like very deep, very nihilistic, and part of what helped me, what was settling me into that continuously, was like that thing of being able to like, oh, I don't relate to anybody, and then there was just a day where I decided, like I have to really just get involved in my interest, because that's the best chance I'm going to have of communicating with people that, have the best chance of being like-minded to me.
Right.
And some of the closest friends I have now are people that I've met through this,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I can really relate to that, Kevin. During the time of MKX's release, I was in a pretty bad place myself, and the local community where I live really pulled me out of that, meeting people with shared hobbies. And actually, one of the guys I met through it, he's like my best friend in the world now, and we actually work together now. He's a therapist as well.
Oh,
and
look at that!
He actually
nice.
he actually got me to pursue my graduate degree and stuff like that. So I guess like I have a lot of really I feel like I owe the scene around the game something, because it's really impacted my
Yeah, they've
life.
done so much for you. You want to do for them, yeah.
Exactly. So like I going forward, I guess if I did have a goal in the scene, it would be to, just be present, and if anyone ever needs or wants somebody to talk to, I'll be around, and do what I can. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Can we take a moment to appreciate the good quality character that Last Bad Day is? Like
Oh yeah.
that's
Oh,
an
it's hard not
honorable-
to.
That's a really, I mean, I don't even know the guy personally, aside from just the times we've chatted here on the voice chat, but just from those small amounts of moments, he's done like really positive. Correct me if I'm wrong, Last Bad Day, but he does even the tiny things he does positive. Like, how usually when you could name your variation, your custom variation, whatever. Most people name their custom variation, eating ass 212 or something,
Yeah.
some random fucking name. Last Bad Day goes out of his way to put an actual legitimate website that helps people either in the mental health community or another community where people are disabled. That's amazing. That's what I mean. Like, how many people actually do that? Like, that's just, I've only met him a few times, but he's always brought something very positive to the scene, so that's very nice.
Thanks, Nishaven. I appreciate that, man. And yeah, it's I don't know, just trying to do something, I guess. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, that's very cool, man.
Yeah.
Happy St. Patty's Day to everybody, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
happy St.
Patty's.
Patty's Day, everybody. I almost forgot, bro. I even went to work without
Yeah.
wearing green, and they're like, "What's wrong with you? You don't wear green?" I'm like,
What's wrong, bro? You don't drink your green beer, bro?
Damn, you really got gaslit at work over a t-shirt, bro? I'm sorry.
"Yeah, bro." I was like,
It's cold in these streets.
yeah, it was insane. I'm like, I don't even have anything green. Get off my back.
Oh, that's the worst one when you don't, and sometimes you honestly don't. There was like a Valentine's Day where I didn't have anything red. Like I had a red sweater that got messed up,
Uh-huh.
and then my job is like all women, and they were just bullying me when I came in. I was like, fuck
yes,
you guys. So I was like, now I'm not wearing it in spite of you. How about that?
Yes, exactly, bro. I worked at the bank.
That's the perfect icebreaker, bro, for the honeys right there. I mean, like, oh shit, I wasn't wearing my green shirt. And
Yeah, you got one. Let me wear yours.
You're gonna change me? No, yes. Exit. Did you want to talk about maybe a goal that you had, or you have?
For the community,
Yes.
turn it
Or
on
for
its
yourself.
fucking head. That's my goal, honestly. I don't know, just bring something new, honestly.
There you go.
With the content that I make, that's pretty much it. And make people be self-aware of how fucking annoying and cringy they are with their mains and all that shit. And I don't know, just something new, really.
Yeah, wise words from Aaron, black man of the group.
Exactly. I'm a cotton. What are you talking about?
Exit is just chaos, man. He's just like, hey, He's like, fuck all y'all. I got love for y'all, but fuck all y'all. That's
That's literally what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
He's from Oakland. That's exactly why. But you gotta love it, you know.
bro. Me and him
That's
are
what
the
I'm telling you,
only
yup.
things in the group.
whoa, Elden Ring, good sir. Lest I let everybody know, Elden Ring is the shit, and I am a Souls
Facts,
game
that's what
player
I'm
as well.
saying.
That's what I'm saying.
So do you have any
Like,
goals?
I need to play Uncharted. Like, oh fuck.
Oh my gosh.
What'd you say, Thumper?
Shluddy, do you have any goals?
Dude, I actually have like 2 goals. My number 1 goal is to beat Cease in the first of 10. That'll probably be a few years from now.
I wish you luck on that, and I hope you do.
Yeah, me too. That's not gonna happen. But my second one, which is like a real one, probably this summer, like when I'm done with high school and shit. Well, I got senior year next year, but like the summer, I'm probably gonna try to get into some tournaments, some online shits. Got to get the balls to do it. Too pussy for it, but you know.
I'll tell you 100%. It's just one of those fake it till you make it things. Once you just start forcing yourself to do it, it gets a lot easier. You start realizing it's just a game still, you know? Like we're making it this big deal, but you're just still playing matches.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Like at the end of the day, it's just people sitting in front of a screen pressing buttons.
Yeah, I'm at home in my undies. There's no reason to be scared, you know? Like if you could see me, it'd be a lot easier to play, you know? Like it's
Yeah. Let's just point out that we need context for that, because if somebody just walks up, if I go into my job outside and just go, hey, I'm in my undies, no need to be scared. You know, that's just adds a whole new
No,
context.
listen, with a content job, I'm working from home. I'm in my underwear, bro. It's fine.
There you go.
All I have to do is wear a shirt if there's a camera on me right now.
Listen, you're lucky if I'm wearing that, you know?
That's right.
are we running a call after this?
Oh yes, Kevin. You know, the ritual is usually we run a coth with the guests, or obviously everybody that's in the
Yeah, and you get
the
Bobby.
podcast.
Oh, I can do that. I would just need to use the bathroom real quick before we started.
But
No, that's where you're wrong, and that's where I come in, buddy. Yeah, we're gonna need you. No, need you nice and pressured up in the corner, just the way you should be. Pressured up. I swear, that's the way we like it. That's how we run things around here. It's nice of you to ask first, though, Mr. Cologne.
Unfortunately, I cannot oblige, but
Sid, I thought I told you not to speak.
You will be forced. You will assume the position. That's all I'm saying.
are we gonna start up that cough now?
yes, if anybody doesn't have any more questions, you know, we're happy to close it out, and we'll start up a new stream and coth here in a minute.
All right, so do that, and I will use the bathroom, and I'll be right back.
You have fun with that, boy.
We'll see about that.
All right, we'll see you
guys
guys
in 2
here in the
minutes.
next stream. All right, sounds good. All right, see you guys here in the coth.
No, you
Wow, Sid. Wow. Much love, everyone. See you in a bit.